So I saw a double feature this weekend at the movies. That's not particularly unusual, but the juxtaposition is I started off by watching this family-friendly comedy, and then I turned around and I watched Backrooms. I may need some help getting over the whiplash. Hey everybody, I'm Sean McBride, the movie guy, and today, let's talk about Backrooms.
I found something in the store.
Okay. What did you find?
The place. I found a place.
Backrooms is the new feature-length film from Kane Parsons. Now, he is the very young YouTube creator of a famous creepypasta series known as Backrooms. And before we go anywhere else, we have to acknowledge that Kane Parsons was only turning 20 when he made this movie. I mean, this kid was a teenager, literally, when he was starting to make those first Backrooms movies. So say what you want about the movies here. This is an audacious beginning for a young filmmaker. Now, in the movie, Chiwetel Ejiofor plays Clark. He's a man who's running one of the saddest discount furniture stores in California. He's already reeling from a divorce, he's got a drinking problem, and now the lights in his store start acting strangely. And when he goes to explore, he stumbles on a supernatural portal to another world. It literally just looks like his basement wall, although he does see some weird light effect on the edge, and when he leans against the wall, he falls through this portal to another world. The Backrooms. Now, the Backrooms are a liminal existence that's a never-ending maze of ugly yellow office space. It looks to be mostly empty, but if that's the case, then what's making those creepy noises coming down the hallway? Enter Renata Rensive. She's Clark's therapist, and she goes searching for him, and she also ends up in the Backrooms. She learns a little bit about what's happening there, but once she's inside, will she ever be able to break free? Now, first things first, credit to these guys for an incredible production design on this movie here. These Backrooms, they're just office space, empty office space, mostly empty. Sometimes there's furniture. Sometimes the furniture seems to be sinking into the ground like it's on a beach and it's stuck in the sand here. Something really weird is going on here. These ugly yellow office setups, but they're in a maze and they go forever and ever. And it's easy to get claustrophobic and it's easy to start to think, oh, I think I may get lost. I may never be able to leave this space ever again. It is really creepy. I understood they created 30,000 square feet of office space for this movie. And if you believe the hype, sometimes the crew would get lost here. It's a really creepy setup. I'm also a big fan of the sound design. I mean, part of it is that ever-present fluorescent hum that's just so obnoxious and just puts you on edge there. But there are also some little things off in the distance that make you go, oh, what's that? Especially since the movie begins with a found footage sequence where we see a kind of a shadow when he hears something, and then we know that there's a monster there. I will say that the setup and the sound is good for the atmosphere, for making this a creepy film, but there are only a couple of moments that are truly scary. And one of them is that beginning moment here. Like I said, it's a found footage where this guy is being chased by something. We can't really see it, and he's trying to get away, and he's lost in the maze, and then suddenly we just see a shadow, and we know he's been killed here. There are two of those moments. I'll be honest with you, I wish there had been a few more than two. This is a film that is creepy, but I wouldn't say it's really scary. So let's talk about the story, which comes from two main characters. And if I'm being honest, I'm not a huge fan of the story itself. Like I said, I wish there were more actual scares. It starts off with Chiwetel Ejiofor, and he's exploring, and that's cool. And he's obviously a very good actor, so everything he's doing is wonderful here. But we just see him go in, and then there's kind of a fake out. We think he's been killed, but we're not quite sure what's going on here. And then we go to his therapist, Renata Rensive, and she is looking for her missing patient, so she goes in as well. And both of these stories are really just about exploring the Backrooms. And they don't give us a whole lot of lore as to what's going on here. Now, Kane Parsons has said he didn't want to do a whole lot of lore here. If you want that, I guess you can go to YouTube and catch up on all that stuff there. That's all well and good. I've never really seen the YouTube shorts, so I didn't know what was going on. And as a newbie into this space, I kind of wanted to have a little bit more of what was happening here. Towards the end, we do get a kind of, let's call it a half-hearted attempt to explain what's going on here. Quite unsatisfying. So look, I think it's an interesting adventure and exploration of this space, but as a straightforward story, boy, I wish it had more of an arc to it. I wish it had more of a plot. Quite frankly, I think the therapist could have been cut in completely and give us more time with Chiwetel Ejiofor. They might have been more interested in this. And like I said, the bottom line for me is I just wish it would have had more scares. It's creepy, very creepy, not scary. And part of that is because when we finally do get to see the monster, honestly, I didn't think the monster was very scary. It was more silly than scary. Now, I get what they're trying to do here, and there's some pretty cool effects going on with the creatures that inhabit the Backrooms, but not something that's really going to populate my nightmares for years to come here. Ironically, some of the scariest moments are when we just see something in the shadows, or there's one moment where we see this corner of a wall and we see just a sliver of someone peeking out around it. Very scary stuff there. I wish we'd had more of that. So like I said, my biggest knock on this is that while it's very creepy, it's just not scary. And if you're going to say this isn't a horror film, then I needed more genuine, terrifying moments. But look, this is pretty good for a creepypasta turned into a feature-length movie. You have to acknowledge this filmmaker for his command over his setting here. I think the sets are amazing. I think the sound, the production design are very good. Chiwetel Ejiofor is good as well. Renata Ryan-Seif, look, she's not bad. I just kind of don't think she has much to do in this movie, or just not a focus thing to do, shall we say, here. But I think it works well enough for an exploration of the world. I would be interested in seeing more of this world, but next time around, I kind of want to see a stronger plot. So I think The Backrooms is fine, and certainly fans of the YouTube series will be there, and they'll be very excited to see this movie. But for general horror fans and general audiences, I think it's a little lacking. So I give Backrooms 2.5 stars out of 4. Now I will say that I noticed a bunch of things during the course of the movie that I thought, oh, that's probably an Easter egg, and if I knew more about The Backrooms, that might mean more to me. So the odds are pretty good. If you're a fan of The Backrooms, check them out. I went down into this Wikipedia article, and it does look quite intriguing. I may check them out here. But as somebody who came into the Backrooms, kind of a virgin in this territory here, it kind of left me a little cold. Creepy, yes, absolutely creepy, but it didn't, answer the questions I wanted answered here. But hey, that's me. What did you think? Did you go see it? A lot of people went and saw it this weekend. If you liked it and you think that there's a reason why I'm completely wrong and why this is a masterpiece, feel free to comment below. Don't forget to subscribe so you get all of these movie reviews just as soon as they drop. And of course, check out the podcast. It's called Two Movie Guys, and every week we go into all of the week's big new movie releases. Just search for Two Movie Guys wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, Backrooms was obviously the big film out this weekend, but I'll say that there's another very good film out, and that one is called Tuner. We'll talk about that next. See you then. Bye.